We're good now? There we go. We're having a little trouble with our mics today, so I would ask all the commissioners, when you do want to speak, to be sure to pull it towards you a little bit and make sure that you're on. Okay, I call the December 5th, 2014 meeting of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission to order today. My name is Jeff Griggs, and I am chairman of the commission. I'd like to ask everybody to, if you have a cell phone, please turn it to mute or vibrate. If you do get a call, I would respectfully ask that you work your way out into the hall before you take that call today. At this time, okay, Schuster. Before we get in, I was told that former Commissioner Julie Schuster has came in the room, and glad to have you, Miss Julie. You always make a grand entrance, don't you? Did you hear that? Commissioner McMillan said it's all about you. But he will remind you that he did beat you one year in the governor's one-shot turkey and kill one.
Do we want to bring that up again?
Oh, I was doing it for you. Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask Captain Walter Cook, if you'll make your way up to the front. Walter's the captive wildlife coordinator, and he is going to lead us in our invocation and our pledge. Would you please stand with me?
Prayer. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks to have the ability to come here, to manage, to conserve your creation. It is yours, but you have charged us with it, and may we execute our duties and responsibilities to you and take care, conserve, and enhance your wildlife resources. As the Commission gathers the information, deliberates, may they be mindful of their obligations to you, the resource, and the people of the state, and do your will. Also, dear Lord, as we leave this place, may we go forward back to our loved ones and have safe travel. In Christ our Savior's name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right. Ms. Hayes, would you call the roll, please?
Chad Baker. Here. Jim Bledsoe. Here. Harold Cannon. Here. Bill Cox. Here. Jeff Griggs. Here. Connie King. Here. Jeff McMillan. Here. Tom Rice. Here. Jim Ripley. James Stroud. Here. Trey Teague. David Watson. Here. Jamie Woodson. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hayes. Appreciate that. I'm sure all of you have had a chance to look over the minutes from the October 30th, 2014 commission meeting that was held in Greenville. If there's no corrections or changes, I would entertain a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion to approve the minutes for the October 30th meeting in Greenville passes. All right. Looking through the audience today, I see that Mr. Boyd Barker is here today, and he is the Deputy Commissioner of Department of Ag. And Mr. Barker, we missed you in Greenville, but I did get your message, and I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Okay. There's tablet that will be passed around the room, and we ask that each one of you will sign it today, where we will have a record of your attendance. If you're here representing a group, we ask that you put the name of that group out beside that. Also, if you're here today and you want to address the commission, have any questions or comments, we would ask that that you would wait till that subject matter came up today, and wait till the agency personnel makes their presentation. Raise your hand. You'll be recognized by the chairman of that committee or by myself. come to the mic, state your name. If you're here representing a group, put the name of that group too. And respectfully, would like to ask too, if you do come to the mic, keep your questions to the chairman of that committee. Do not turn around and have a conversation with people in the audience or with agency personnel unless the chairman of that committee allows that. I, along with the chairman of each committee, reserves the right to limit comments and discussion, especially in cases of repetition. If you're here today and you've looked over the agenda and the subject matter that you came about today is not on the agenda, if you would wait till the end of the meeting, raise your hand, and you will be recognized at that point. Director Carter, do you have any announcements? Okay, anybody on the commission, do you have anything? All right, at this time, I'd like to ask Darren Ryder, Chief of Boating and Law Enforcement, to make his way up to the podium. I believe he has a presentation today.
Commissioner Griggs, I'd like to take the time today to read the accomplishments of Tennessee's selection for the 2014 Southeastern Association Fish and Wildlife Agencies Officer of the Year, which we all know as SEAFWA. This year's selection is Wildlife Officer Billy LaGrange. He is assigned to Hickman County, which is in District 22, which is in Region 2. Officer LaGrange's teamwork and public outreach efforts included organizing the first ever kids rodeo in Hickman County. This event had over 45 participants. Billy also helped conduct 2 youth deer hunts, and one of these events was targeted for children of active and injured military personnel. Billy also participated in a youth game hunt where he took several young folks rabbit hunting. Then Billy also has taken the outreach programs that we offer into the school systems. One, he conducted a regional environthon. He instructed school teams in the archery and school programs, and he also helped with the state championships. Billy works with the timber management companies to educate the leased hunting club members on ATV, trespassing, and property destruction. And these issues he discusses with him helps improve hunting on these areas. He was also responsible for when the Duck River had floods this spring. He was also helped lead the rescue efforts in that area. On Billy's efforts in excellence and innovation, he's noted for his old school game warden, to be young as he is, and basically takes a backpack, his binoculars, an old pair of hiking boots, and goes out in the woods and hikes and hikes and hikes. And the result of these efforts, he arrested 26 folks for hunting over bait. He also had 6 individuals that he encountered that were using rifles and muzzleloaders during archery season. He also was able to catch an old-time commercial fisherman using hoop nets on Duck River, which the Duck River is actually close to commercial fishing. And then Billy saw a need on the Piney River, the scenic Piney River. It's starting to be a hot spot for our canoes and kayakers, so he uses spot and scope techniques where he looks at them for long range, and through this effort and this technique, he was able to issue 46 citations for litter and boat and safety violations. Now, underneath his attitude and leadership, when he's not officially on the clock, he's in the woods and on the water, if not all the time. So with this effort that he's always in the woods, he gets to observe some violations while he's trying to personally hunt, and he's got to get called back into action to go into service and handle the violations. And it keeps him really in tune with the game and fish in that area, and knows how to handle the hunting and fishing public. Billy taught and certified over 130 students in Hickman County for hunter safety, but he also assisted with 5 other classes that certified 225 students. He's been a huge asset with the agency's mission to eradicate hogs. Apparently he's the designated hog sniper for the district, because when you get a problem hog that won't go in the trap, they call Billy, and I guess that's why they call him Billy the Kid now. On his accomplishments, he issued 205 citations. He wrote 30 warnings. He also assisted with 59 other additional citations for a total of 294 law enforcement actions. He checked a total of 1,492 individuals for compliance. He was also able to help our special investigation units on an effort that he went to court on some illegal turkey poaching. And the resulted in 4 weapons being declared contraband and 8 individuals losing their hunting privileges. Billy is a great asset to the agency, his community, and the state of Tennessee. I'd like to congratulate him, but I'd also like to recognize his supervisor, Captain Jeff Skelton, and I don't see that Major Kate Taylor's here, but that's his supervision. Congratulations, Billy. That's all right. He wasn't bashful for that keg of beer in SEAFWA, were you? He was recognized at the SEAFWA conference that was held in Destin, and he got an opportunity to run into his old classmates out there on the porch.
All right, congratulations again, Billy, well deserved. Okay, if there are no other announcements or any comments or presentations, we'll move on into the agenda. And at this time, we will go to Fisheries Management Committee, Chairman Jeff McMillan.
Thank you, Chairman Griggs. I'm going to ask Bobby Wilson to come up, and we usually do our sport fishing and commercial fishing in October. And because of some amendments that were brought up, we felt like the commission felt like that there should be some public comment period, and that's what's occurred from October until this point. So we're going to have to, you're going to briefly go over the changes again, and then we'll discuss the amendments as they were proposed.
That's great. Thank you, Commissioner McMillan and Commissioners. As Commissioner McMillan said, we had these proposals at the last commission meeting in October at Greenville. And we had a couple of, excuse me, we had one amendment that we're going to be discussing, but I'm going to briefly go over those proposals, the original proposals that were postponed until today. And that's in Region 1, Carroll County Lake. We're going to recommend an increase or change the length limit on largemouth bass. Currently, there's an 18-inch size limit or length limit. We recommended a 14 to 18 protected length range or slot limit. And in other words, you can keep, you can't keep any bass between 14 and 18, but you could keep 5 bass, only one of which may be over 18. So you keep 5 under 14 or 4 under 14 and 1 over 18. Region 3, in the south east part of the state, Tellico River, recommend to shift the delayed harvest zone upstream from the North River to the state line. This will help eliminate a little stakeholder overlap and confusion related to the zone being in the middle areas that harvest can occur. Green Cove Pond, going to further define and specify the types of licenses that are eligible to be able to fish there. Currently, it says they have to be handicapped, but doesn't include the other license types specifically with other disabilities. And also, we're going to recommend prohibit the use of boats at Green Cove Pond. It's only 2.5 acres. It's relatively small, so we want to ensure the quality fishing experiences. And we're going to add the shadow bass, which is also kind of in that general area of the state, in the Conasauga River drainage area. Shadow bass is very similar to the rock bass, but it's not listed as a species that they can be harvested. And so we're just going to include that as a species that's available to be harvested in that part of the state. Also in Region 3, in the Dale Hollow Lake area, currently there's a regulation that applies to walleye. It's from January 1 to April 30th. One hook or one lure with a single hook is during that time period. That's to restrict the snagging of walleye when they run upstream to spawn. Want to change that, recommend change to January 1 to April 15th. The walleye run is usually over by mid-April and it's followed by a really good white bass run. And this should improve anglers' access to the white bass run using preferred lures, such as small spinners and crankbaits. Also, a special regulation there, be only one walleye over 20 inches from that same time period, January 1 to April 15th. Protects a native walleye. Krill limit will remain 5, but only one walleye over 20 inches may be in an angler's possession. So in Region 4, excuse me, go back. Dillard's Pond, Greene County. It's a small area of water that has been in cooperation with the Forest Service and the TWRA and others is becoming made into a really nice little fishing area. I recommended to have some regulations on there. It's basically open 1 half hour before sunrise to 1 half hour after sunset. Limit of 4 trout per day, but no length limit. 1 pole or rod per person. We mentioned also at the last meeting the presence now of the Alabama bass in Parksville Lake specifically, but in other bodies of water too. We wanted to put that in there as a species that to be harvested as well in our fishing proclamation. So that's, I don't know if you want to stop there or go forward with the discussion on the amendment or proposed amendment on the smallmouth bass at Douglas Lake, or how do you want to go forward with that?
I think that'd be appropriate. We'll just stop there and try to take care of the discussion on the amendment, and then we can move on. Do y'all agree? That's the only amendment I'm aware of that we've had public comment for, so I assume we'll try to keep it to that. So, all right. So, do I need to restate that I recommend passage of it, and then we'll do discussion of the sport fishing proclamation?
So what you want to do is make an amendment, right? Is that what we're?
We need to discuss the amendment that was made that was tabled, correct?
Okay. All right, let's discuss it.
All right, so the committee in October recommended passage of Proclamation 14-17, and there was an amendment that caused the commission to table it. So that's the amendment that we need to discuss. And the amendment was made by Commissioner Baker. Would you like to restate that amendment?
I proposed amendment to change the smallmouth harvest on Douglas Lake to a krill limit of 5 over 16 inches per day.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions about what the amendment was? I'd like to, I think at this time, possibly you go ahead. I know we had public comment. That's why it was tabled. Can you explain to us what the public comment, how it turned out?
So after that meeting, we immediately posted it on our website, sent out news releases. We got trying to seek as much public input as we could because it was a short period of time. And we did that, like I said, on news releases, our agency website. TWRA sent out an email blast, as well as the Tennessee Wildlife Federation sent out an email blast to try to seek public comment. And the guys in Region 4 passed out flyers to bass clubs and put them on windshields at bass tournaments and boat ramps. This is, I think, is an example of what it looked like. Just asking them for their input, told them to send our comments to, we put a physical address or an email address and a deadline. We also had a relatively small Krill survey because of the short period of time. I think we only interviewed about 40 anglers, but these were bass anglers in about a 2 or 3 week period of time there. And we got a few Facebook comments, not many, but we got a few. As well as there was at least one newspaper article that I'm aware of that published some information about it to seek comment on. So the results, if you look at the input method, as I mentioned, the Krill Survey, we interviewed 41 anglers. 25 of those were in favor of the proposed amendment. 16 were against it. We had 44 postcards that were all identical. They were self-stamped. They were probably from a bass club or something like that, but they all came in, and 100% of those were in favor of the amendment. Facebook, like I said, we didn't get many, but 2 were for it and 5 were against it. By far, the most comments that we had were by emails. We got about 3 or 4 letters, but most were emails. And of those, you can see 77 were for it and 114 were against. It's about 40-60 split. And if you look at the email letter contents in favor of the proposal, so these are just some of the suggestions that people put, not just saying they were for or against it, but some had comments, and some of the comments were a 15-inch statewide or a 16-inch statewide, or maybe just a 16 for Cherokee and Fort Loudon. And those that were opposed to it were not necessarily in favor of the proposal, but they would like to see some other, maybe a change in general. And some thought maybe a 16 with a creel of 2, or maybe 1/20 like during the summertime, or maybe an 18-inch length limit, either a creel of 2 or 3 or 5, and also maybe 1/18 during the months of June through October. The 18-inch comment probably had more. We had probably more comments on going to something related to 18, whether it was 2, 3, or 5, than any other of the comments that we had. I'd say probably 25 or so folks suggested that.
Would you back up to that slide when you have before right there? Thank you.
Okay. And that's it.
Thank you for that information. This time then we'll ask the commissioners if they have any comments or questions. Yes, sir. Commissioner Cannon.
Yeah, we're working. Commissioner Baker's proposal generated a lot of comments and newspaper articles. I think there was one even in today's paper in Upper East Tennessee. And that's good and that's healthy. To have those number of comments in the short period that we've had, frankly, is encouraging to me, just the participation that our anglers have in this. When we met at our last meeting, I asked it to be tabled for that time, and I was concerned that we may be going too far too quickly. And the comments that I have received as well have expressed that same concern. I think there's merit in revisiting this, but taking this large of a step, it has been said, and I agree with it, that we may not see any unintentional consequences in the next 1 to 3 years or so, but shortly after that, we may see a significant impact. And this doesn't have to do with the tournament anglers. It is, as Bob Hodge referred to it, as the meat eaters, if you will. They're going to keep more fish. I'm fortunate to have Douglas in my district. I think John Gregory and I have an annual visit to Dandridge to talk about 2 things every year. It's parking and number of boat ramps. Is that a fair statement, John? And that is a great conversation to have, because that means that that lake has been very successful in drawing new economic dollars to that area. I look at Norris, and from what I understand, Norris, Dale Hollow, and there's a couple of others, maybe Cherokee, and Commissioner, I'll let you guide me on that. But those are considered the premier lakes in this state when it comes to smallmouth. And on Norris Lake, the one closest by, our limits right now are from June 1st to October 15th. One at 20 inches or over, and then from October 16th through May 31st, I believe we go, Bob, again, keep me honest here, but the statewide limit is 5, and the length limit is 18 inches on Norris. I think Commissioner Baker's proposal is healthy for discussion. However, I would like to propose a softer step this first time, and I believe and Council, I'm going to lean on you too, but I believe we can consider one amendment to an amendment. And if that is the case, I would like to propose an amendment to Commissioner Baker's amendment. I'm sorry? We have to take it on that one first? Thank you, ma'am. My apology. That being the case, I will not support the amendment as proposed right now because I believe it's too big a step. However, so that you'll know exactly where I'm going and that nothing's hidden here, my intent would be to mirror what's being done at Norris Lake, as was just reflected, with one exception, and that is the first week of June, there's a significant tournament on Douglas Lake. And I would propose the season differences, if you will, to be this, and that is from June 15 to October 15, it would be one fish at 20 inches or larger. From October 16 to June 14, it would be 5 fish, a la the statewide limit, at 18 inches. Should his amendment not pass, that will be my proposal. Thank you.
Excuse me, Commissioner Cannon, you said October to June 15th? June 14? Yes. That period of June 14th to October, it'd be, what was your, I'm sorry.
You're doing fine, and I may have caused confusion. On Norris Lake, currently, from June 1st to October the 15th, they do not allow but one smallmouth to be taken, and that must be 20 inches or larger. And the reason, as I understand it, is because of concern about warm water mortality to the fish during the tournaments. And that's a good thing for us to be about. Our information is pretty good. I would like us to try this year to accommodate a pretty significant tournament on Douglas Lake. And under my proposal, it would be from June 15 to October 15. Only one fish at 20 inches or larger would be taken. And then from October 16 to June 14, it would be the statewide limit of 5 at 18 inches or larger. Again, this is subject to Commissioner Baker's amendment passing, but that's what I would propose.
Thank you, Commissioner Cannon. I'd like to talk to you about, I've got more experience bass fishing than probably anybody in this room. I grew up in East Tennessee. You were talking about Norris and Del Holla. I live right between South Holston and Watauga. Both of those lakes, smallmouth fisheries, are tremendous. They will put Norris and all the other lakes to, the catch ratios. We have a 15-inch size limit on South Holston and Watauga. This past, they had the Turkey Bowl tournament this past weekend. There was like 7 or 8 bags weighed in over 23 pounds on a 15-inch size limit. When the agency changed Douglas, how many years ago was that, Bobby?
On the Douglas, the 20-inch? 10 years ago?
10 years ago. 10 years ago, we had a 12-inch size limit, and we went to a 20, which in my opinion was, we swung the pendulum. We went where you could catch 5 12-inch fish. We went all the way to 20. That's why I think the pendulum needs to come back to 16. I agree with I do not have a problem with the summertime deal. Bobby's has told me that the growth rates on smallmouth bass at South Holston are identical to the growth rates at Douglas, correct?
I think so, yes. That's what I said.
That's what you said.
Okay.
So, that being said, that's why I'm pushing for the 16-inch size limit. The smallmouth, we've got tons of them down there now. We've had, according to Bobby's numbers right here, there was 148 for it and 135 against it. So as far as the public goes, we are on the plus side. That's why I stand with my 16-inch size limit there.
And Commissioner Baker, no, I'm a guppy fisherman compared to you. I mean, you've got a lot more experience at this than frankly I'll ever have. Didn't come at this just loosely. Talked to fishermen in the area, and those folks, their relationships with tournament fishermen. And the tournament fishermen indeed say this is a great thing for tournament fishing. There was consistency in their caution that there may be unintentional consequences. And it may be very appropriate to go to 16 at some point in time. I would like to take this in bites. And Norris has had significant, when it came up with its limits, it's had significant input from a biology standpoint, as well as from the public standpoint. There has been caution expressed on the biology standpoint. There has been caution expressed and support expressed, as you've rightly said, on the public side. And when we don't have that biology totally supporting it, that's the reason I'm proposing it's kind of like what you and I go through sometimes when somebody's negotiating a change order. Let's split the difference. That's what I'm doing my best to do here, is to split the difference. Let's take this step and give our folks a chance to get the information. And that's it.
I first proposed a 15-inch size limit, and I met with our fisheries guys met, and they felt like that they could help support me if I moved it up to a 16-inch, and I said I don't have a problem with that. I moved on to a 16, and now we're changing. Now we're going further, and I'm not for that.
I think, I'll get back to you in a minute. I think Commissioner Watson had a comment.
Bobby, in the majority of our lakes right now is 18 inches.
Oh, it is 8.
The statewide regulation, with exceptions, is 18-inch for smallmouth.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cox?
You hadn't got the information yet on the other two lakes. Was it Cherokee and Norris? Fort Loudon, that you still had another year of data you wanted to study. Both of those lakes are at 18 right now.
Yes.
We're gathering data for was to perhaps drop that limit to a different level if the data came back as you thought it might.
We weren't proposing that, but we wanted to get that data in case it was recommended. We had no intention to change those, but we were wanting to get that information for next year. That was what the request we had initially asked, was wait till next year to get more public feedback, unbiased public feedback, and also some scientific information on those two lakes.
So you got data on those lakes now, you just wanted another year.
We don't have the good data like we had at Douglas. We had better data at Douglas on smallmouth than we do at Cherokee and Fort Loudon Tellico. Targeted smallmouth bass sampling is what we're trying to get, and we didn't have that at Cherokee and Fort Loudon Tellico.
Okay, I was just remembered the conversation that you had enough data on Douglas that going to 16 was okay, but you wanted to wait on the other two because you didn't have the data on them yet.
The data that we had on Douglas was basically to show that the 20-inch protected a lot of fish, and not a lot of smallmouth were making it over 20 inches. It suggested maybe going to 18. We originally were not going to go to, I think original discussion at our biologist meeting was to possibly go to 18 inches, like a Norris Lake regulation.
Yeah, we talked in the meetings we've had with you. You said that you did not think it would make an impact as far as a species or anything like that by lowering the limit. It wouldn't.
It would not. There's going to be smallmouth bass in any lake, pretty much no matter what regulation. Even a 12-inch is going to continue to have some smallmouth. It would probably impact the quality, the number of bigger fish that you see in a lake, more than the number.
I have a comment. A big percentage of our bass fishermen in our state are tournament fishermen, and they do a whole lot for our state, and they do sell license and all. But and I'm not a tournament fisherman, obviously, but when you have a tournament fisherman, I'm asking this to Commissioner Baker since he's authority on it, you usually have a team of 2, correct? Is it generally most tournaments are 2 people that weigh in together?
Some tournaments are individual tournaments, and some tournaments are team tournaments.
Team. So I guess what I'm getting at is maybe our limit for length we can adjust, but maybe instead of if you had a 3-fish krill limit, you'd still be able to weigh in 5 fish as a tournament team, couldn't you?
Yes, sir.
Would that be more something that'd be more palatable to you if we, to protect the resources? What I'm interested in, which is going to help the fisheries more, the length limit or the krill limit of reducing it to 3, what would be the most advantageous to protect the resources, my concern?
Limit protects it more. The creel limit spreads it out.
Even though you got people keeping less fish to take home or potentially mortality from tournaments, you think that the length limit's more important. So you'd rather see 5 fish at 18 than 3 fish at 16.
That's a loaded question.
I'm just asking, what's going to protect the resource and what's going to make our tournament fishermen happy? That's what, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle there.
I mean, for overall fisheries, now you mentioned the tournament guys are the dominant bass fishermen. Well, there are a lot of bass fishermen, but they're anywhere from 25, of all the people that fish for bass, about 25 to maybe as many as 40% fish in tournaments. So there are a lot of people that don't fish in tournaments, and we probably heard from a lot of those from these comments up here. They would just as soon catch big fish all day and not keep anything. And of course, the tournament guys catch them and they hold them and they release them. They don't keep them for the most part. But there is some in the summertime that's a concern, and even in the springtime, there's some concern about some tournament mortality, keeping them in live well for hours and then letting them go. They may die later. Post-release mortality is what they call that. So, and then there's the issue of some people like to eat them too. So, I mean, if you're going to ask me if I would, the regulation, it's a tough one to answer, but the most conservative would be definitely the 18.5 over a 16.3.